It looks like we have some movement here. They're kind of expanding the perimeter here. Police are telling everybody to move further south, so we're going to do that as well. And if you can turn the camera here, you can see it looks like teams are getting ready to move in. So this is escalating here, at least in the urgency that we see. A lot of people out here with their phones trying to document it, but we can see. But let's try to migrate with them so we're not getting in anybody's way here. But as you can imagine, trying to get thousands and thousands of people to move all cohesively and out of the way and keep them out of harm's way, I mean, that's the priority here for Metro and all of the law enforcement agencies that are out here right now. But it's a surreal sight to see.
All right, Nathan, whatever you do, just make sure that you're following the advice there of the officers and the commands as all the residents there are and the citizens are. We want to go ahead and show you some images as well that we've been receiving via social media. This is via Banjo, and what you're looking at here are the crowds running, presumably after those shots were fired. Some of those people you see there hitting the ground for their own safety, and we don't know if they were told to hit the ground or they heard those shots and they just did that out of their own reaction time. And we're also getting some new information from our police sources that, in fact, we have been hearing all evening that there were multiple victims as a result of this shooting. So many now we're hearing that the ER at UMC is at capacity and that many of the victims are now being transported to Sunrise ER. Multiple gunshot victims, including a Metro police officer, we understand, was shot in the neck and transported to UMC. Other victims as well. And police sources telling us that it is believed that some of those are fatal victims, sadly. So obviously it's still a fluid scene, as you can see. Nathan showing us just moments ago that the SWAT teams are still moving in. We've got some live pictures here now that we're showing you of the crowds as they're being ushered away from that active scene. Police there also moving, we believe, towards Mandalay Bay. And we know that there was a group of Metro officers and SWAT teams that entered Mandalay Bay just a short time ago. It appears that they have called in for backup, perhaps just to make sure that all of the areas are covered here. But again, it's believed that there are two, possibly more, active shooters somewhere on the Mandalay Bay property, that they were firing at the crowd that was attending that Harvest 91 concert, the Route 91 concert just across the street from Mandalay Bay, and that's when the chaos ensued. Those shots were fired, people began running, and there were multiple victims that were unfortunately shot, and all of that information still coming into our newsroom. Christy Wilcox is down there with the crowd as well, and we want to send it over to her for an update from her vantage point. Tell us first where you're at, Christy, and what you're seeing.
Well, we're right at the intersection of Las Vegas Boulevard and Four Seasons Drive, and police have been actively telling us to move back, and that's probably why you've seen our video be, shaky, and because we're continuously being pushed back. We just saw about 20 officers across the street from us on Mandalay Bay with their weapons in hand, moving toward the scene out here, and of course you can see all these other Metro officers coming up on the scene here. Gosh, the cars just keep coming, and they keep asking us just to move back and to move back, because they're really not sure, I believe, how safe things are out here at this point. You can still see the officers moving up the side of the street up here. They're passing in front of the Mandalay Bay sign at this time. And actually, we have another police officer right here in front of the liquor store asking us again to move, and I'll get out of the way here. You can see that they're very concerned about people's safety out here and just locking down this scene at this point. We will continue to move back here, of course, because you just don't know what's going on out here at this point. And obviously, they're very concerned about folks out here, the rest of the folks out here, staying safe and just getting them away from this scene as we speak. Gerard, I'll send it back to you.
Okay. This is LaToya. Are they telling you anything about what they think may have sparked all of this? Have they gotten that far yet?
I have not spoken to Metro Police yet. I mean, what we're getting is a bunch of the Metro officers have just continuously moved us back further and further from the scene, because I think it's likely they don't know where these shooters or where these active shooters are right now. So I haven't heard much from Metro, but I have been talking to people out here locally on the scene, and actually right here behind me, another officer asking us to move out of the way. I think they're just very concerned. And actually, okay, so let me show you here. I had just told you that police, about 20 police were down by the Mandalay Bay sign, but you can also see right here across from us off of Four Seasons Drive and Las Vegas Boulevard, we have another group of police officers standing here getting ready, I would imagine, to move in that direction as well. Hey, Scott, can we move this way? We can show these guys over here also preparing. So there is just a massive amount of police presence down here, worried about folks. All these roadways, of course, blocked off at this point. Gerard and Latoya, I'll send it back to you.
All right.
Here we
Chrissy.
go. SWAT is right here. SWAT just across the street.
We want to go ahead and get our viewers up to speed. We're showing you some live images near Mandalay Bay. This is where all of this is taking place. SWAT teams in place, active shooter teams are in place. 2 suspects, it is believed, were firing shots from Mandalay Bay to a crowd of concert goers. They were attending the Route 91 concert, the Harvest Festival, which is taking place at that outdoor stage just across the street from Mandalay Bay. It's that same stage that the iHeart Music Festival uses. And we're told that the shots were fired during the finale of the concert when Jason Aldean, a country performer, was singing his final song. When the shots rang out, crowds, of course, panicked and started dispersing immediately. They ran in all directions. We're told some ran all the way towards Top Golf. In fact, there was a gunshot victim who ran in that direction. Others ran out onto the tarmac of the airport near where the private jet hangars are. And obviously there was some panic. Now, what we've confirmed through our police sources here at News 3 is that there are multiple victims, possibly multiple fatal victims. Many were taken to UMC. We're told the ER there is at capacity, and that they are now moving many to Sunrise ER. There were so many victims, according to my police source, that Metro units were actually transporting victims in patrol cars. They couldn't wait for ambulances because there were victims right there needing immediate attention. I'm joined now by Latoya Silman and Reed Cowan, and I know that in these scenes, we've all covered these situations. This information is all coming to us. It's a very fluid scene, as we see from these live pictures. SWAT teams are still moving in. There is the distinct possibility that this is still an active shooter scene and they've not apprehended the suspects.
That's right. And so if anybody out there within earshot of this broadcast has communication with anybody down on the Strip, tell them very clearly to follow the direction of police. Immediately on that scene, follow direction of police. I can tell you both, Latoya and Gerard, as I drove in from Summerlin there on the 95, I passed 4 ambulances headed towards the Las Vegas Strip. Actually, they passed me going in that direction. And so you could just see, by virtue of what was going on there on the 95, that this was a very serious scene and the ambulances were being dispatched from all areas of the valley.
Yeah, police showing up in mass force. In fact, Nathan is down there covering things for us as well. Nathan, what can you tell us? What have you learned since we last saw you?
Well, we're still moving. Police keep telling us as we are walking down Las Vegas Boulevard that we have to keep moving to keep everybody safe. And it's a slow but steady pace with thousands of people telling them to keep on the sidewalk so they can keep the roadways here, because they do have patrol cars that are kind of coming through and trying to make their way through here. But they're telling us all the way down to Sunset. That's where they're saying is potentially a safe area. And you can see all of these police officers here. They're coming from all over the place, by the way. We saw Henderson Police. We also saw Metro. We got Clark County Fire out here. A lot of first responders all out here. It's all hands on deck at this point. But I was just talking to some folks that were, I believe, on the 14th floor of Mandalay Bay facing the Strip. They told me that when this all went down, they heard the gunshots coming near their room. They could hear it. It was rapid fire. They heard what they said was hundreds of shots. And let's We're going to walk down here, so we're just trying to make sure not to trip while we're doing it. Hundreds of shots that were coming from several floors up. That's what one witness told me, and they said that they actually had a daughter that was in that concert venue. They were worried about her. They were able to get in contact with her, but someone was shot that was really close to her. Thankfully, that woman is okay as far as we understand, but a lot of people, just trying to figure out exactly what's going on here, and it is a very scary situation. You see a lot of people crying, hugging, holding hands, just trying to find comfort, and it's a very chaotic situation, but you can still see the help is coming. We see more Henderson Fire paramedic. We have more Metro kind of moving all over the place. But again, we're still walking. We were up at Russell and Las Vegas Boulevard to begin with, and they're telling us to go down to Sunset, and they're saying that's where they want everybody, just to make sure that they're safe. Because if these reports are true, they're saying that these potential shooters were at a high-rise position, and it's a very dangerous situation, not only for the officers, but for everybody around here. And we got more movement coming out here. But there are some, as you can tell, this is a very dynamic situation. We see some people kind of tripping and falling, trying to keep up with the pace. But it's difficult. These are all different types of people. These are people who work at the casinos. There's locals, there's tourists, there's people who are just here for the concert. And they're all trying to make sure that they're safe and make sure that their loved ones are safe.
Okay. Hey, Nathan, we're just getting an update from one of my police sources who says one of the suspects has been found dead in a room at Mandalay Bay. We are working to confirm that. That is believed to be true. We have not confirmed that just yet. But obviously, this is still an active situation. We are also hearing from Community Ambulance, a private ambulance company here in the Valley, and they tell us that they have dispatched every one of their units to the scene, and it appears that there are multiple sites now with active shooters. Again, that part with multiple sites is not confirmed, but that's what they're hearing via the ambulance company. So obviously there's just a lot going on here, and police are trying to get a grip on it, and the priority is to get people safe and get these suspects into custody ASAP.
The question I have when I hear that update, that the suspect has been, according to your source, one of the suspects has been found dead in a room. Is that a hotel room in a high-rise tower? Because you just heard Nathan say that a lot of people down there are thinking that some of the bullets came from above or from a high-rise. So it makes you wonder if they didn't storm some of the floors there and watch the security cameras and get up there.
And that's what we heard early on from one of our police sources as well, that the two suspects, believed, confirmed at least, that they had a high ground position, presumably from a high hotel room, and that they were armed with high power weapons, some type of a long gun, and which would give them the capacity to shoot that distance into the crowd that was all the way across Las Vegas Boulevard.
And communicates to our sinking hearts the idea of planning that has presumably gone on for quite some time.
Right. And that's the question that we all have at this point. Well, first, obviously, we want everyone to be safe. We want everyone to be evacuated. If you happen to be down in that area, you know people, have received calls from people who are down in that area. You just have to pay attention to what police are telling you, what authorities and first responders are telling you to do. Do not take chances. Don't try to turn around and go back to your room if you have a room, or go back to whatever venue you were in. You have to pay attention to authorities in situations like this. We have every reason to believe that this is still active, in the sense that we saw all those SWAT officers still moving into the scene. So we believe that they are still in the process of trying to apprehend a suspect or suspects who were believed involved in this shooting.
Right, and as you were just saying, Gerard, there are a lot of people down there stuck. One of them happens to be one of our own from News 3. Her name is Shella. She's on our production staff, and she was actually in the Mandalay Bay when this shooting just erupted. If you could, go ahead and tell us, Shella, she's on the phone with us now. Where were you? What was happening? Just kind of walk us through your experience here.
I work at the Mandalay Bay, but I was actually in the crowd. I had walked across the street to go see the show, the last act, Jason Aldean, and I was right by the stage.
Shella, are you safe where you are right now? And what did you see?
Yeah, I'm home right now. We heard this loud noise, and someone next to me told me it was like the speaker blowing out or something. And then some guy, like 3 people behind me, he was all covered in blood, and he fell down, and I heard people screaming, he's dead, he's dead. And then to my left, I heard people screaming, someone else is dead. And then Jason Aldean ran off the stage, and then everyone just ducked down, and they just kept shooting rounds. They were just shooting. It was like nonstop, and then they would stop for 5 seconds and reload, and then they would just shoot again into the crowd. And I just kept hearing people screaming that they were shot or that someone was shot, and we were just sitting ducks right there, and they were just shooting right into the audience.
Shelley, can you tell us what your reaction was? I mean, how did you get out of that situation? We have heard that there was a panic situation, that people were confused and they weren't necessarily sure what to do or what to go. We've been showing some video of people running from the scene. Some of them actually hit the ground, presumably after some of those shots were fired. Can you tell us how you reacted and how you managed to get out?
There was a bunch of people around me just telling me, like, just stay low. Someone's shooting, just stay low. And then some people were running, and someone said that if they were getting shot, people were running and they were falling down. So I assumed they were getting shot. But it wasn't stopping. It was nonstop rounds, and I didn't want to sit there anymore because I figured I was just waiting my turn. So I just got up and I ran to the church across the way, and I went behind the church. And there were a bunch of people behind the church, and there was a girl next to me who was shot, and people were giving their bandanas, their shirts to try to stop the bleeding. Her leg was all shot up, and there were, I guess, officers or men with...
And you saw a lot of injured people there around you as this was taking place.
Yeah, and I didn't know what to think. I just came to see the last act, and all these people everyone was just so bloody. It was like a massacre. Like, we were just all there in one spot, and they were just shooting right into the crowd.
Well, Shella, we thank you so much, and we're so grateful that you're okay. I can't imagine, though, what still must be going through your mind. Probably a lot of shock, because like you said, you just went for the final act. You had no idea that something like this could happen. Were you able to talk to police? Were they telling people to try to get to a certain place, or did you just go straight home?
I went behind the church, and there were policemen with bullets across their chest, and they had rifles, and they told us to stay on that side of the building because the shooter was on the other side. And everyone was asking, are they going to come around to this side? Are they moving? Are they mobile? And they were like, you stay here, you stay here. But when the ambulance came to take the injured, there weren't many people behind the building, and people just started to run. And I was one of them, and I ran to my mom. My mom picked me up halfway down the street, and as I was running, everyone was just bleeding. It was just so much blood, and everyone was just injured, and I was just jumping over all these people running.
Shella, stay by your phone, Shella. Now that we know you are okay, our thoughts are with so many people whose condition is questionable at this hour. We want to let our viewers know that we are not going to be leaving the airways. We will have continuing coverage through the night. This has happened in Las Vegas, a mass shooting, an active shooting here in Las Vegas, on the Las Vegas Strip, right at the end of the Jason Aldean concert during the final song. We have to, when we are conveying the information, remember that we are talking about people who are still down there on the Las Vegas Strip. So if you are watching this either here in Las Vegas or elsewhere in the nation, and this coverage is streaming right now live on MSNBC, we want to let you know that we are here through the night. We will get you the information that you need. We will provide phone numbers that you can call to learn about the victims. We will provide phone numbers and resources so that you can get all of the updates that you need throughout the night. We are here to serve our viewers, and that's what we will do as we watch police out there running towards the violence to try to save lives.
Let's check in with Nathan O'Neill, who is still down there on the scene. Nathan, what's your vantage point, and what's happened since we last saw you?
Well, we've been walking all the way down Las Vegas Boulevard. We're headed towards Sunset. That's where they tell us, and they are telling everybody in the crowd to go ahead and stage, and that's going to be the safe place to get to. Right now, you can see we're right here by Maverick Helicopter. This is a ways down south from Mandalay Bay and away from a lot of the staging area for police. We've seen a lot of movement for law enforcement over the last few minutes up and down the boulevard. We can see a lot of the helicopters. They're kind of circling around, and we have several different agencies out here dealing with this as well. But you can see, just look at this. We have families on vacation right here with their luggage, families and children, and they're having to experience this like so many others right now, all wondering what's going on and when will this end. We just saw a SWAT vehicle move in right here, if you can see. As I said, a lot of movement as far as law enforcement goes, a lot of police rushing toward the scene. But I do want to take you back to a little bit earlier. We got here on the scene maybe about 10-15 minutes after those first calls were made, because we were in the area, and we stopped and we started talking to people, and people who are in that venue, in the crowds. We did a quick interview with them. Go ahead and listen to part of that.
Clip after clip after clip, bullets flying everywhere, everybody running. It was really, really bad.
And you guys said that there were multiple shots fired.
We were the furthest VIP stages away from Mandalay Bay, and they were ricocheting everywhere where we were. So they were firing from somewhere high, and they were unloading clip after clip after clip after clip.
So there's a shooter, you believe?
Multiple shooters. It has to be.
How many people were hit?
We have no idea. Hopefully none, but there was obviously people hit.
Did you guys see any victims? I mean, as far
We
as...
just saw one drive by right now,
hanging out of the back of the
giving
truck.
CPR, because he had probably been shot.
Out of the back of the truck right now, CPR.
Wow.
There's bullets ricocheting like down by the bottom of our feet, because we all got on the floor, crawling out, rushing, because everybody's rushing out. We hear the bullets right on our feet.
Ended up being hundreds of shots.
Yeah.
So it sounded like hundreds of shots to you.
It was hundreds of shots. It wouldn't sound like it was hundreds of shots.
And then what happened? I mean, how long ago did this happen? 5
minutes, not even.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's still, people are still running scared. The back streets are all full of people trying to hide out. I mean, it sounded like a firecracker, and then it ended up not sounding like a firecracker at all.
What did you guys... And there you go. There are a few of the first moments in the chaos and the fallout of what has happened here. Those people rushing out of the venue as this is all happening, telling us firsthand what they experienced. But as you can see, it's a much different situation at this point, because everybody has been migrated from Mandalay Bay all the way down Las Vegas Boulevard, at least from our side of things here. You can see they're all here on the east side of the boulevard. They're trying to keep them on the sidewalks, but they're still moving all the way down. I want to turn the camera down, because just look, this is a completely stark kind of difference between the Las Vegas Strip and where we are right now. It's actually pretty dark out here. There's no street lights. It's pretty dark, except for those first responders rushing to aid, trying to help people who might be in need at this point. But as you can see, we have still a ways to go. They're telling us all the way down to Sunset just to get everybody safe. And we still have people behind us as well, walking with us. So we're experiencing this along with so many other people right now, but we're going to go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Nathan, thank you. Just incredible to hear the testimonials from those folks who are down there.
We want to be very clear to our viewers. You're seeing this video and hearing that rapid fire there from these weapons that you can just hear. This is not happening right now. This is video from social media taken within the last hour or so. We do know that this is still a continuing scene and very active scene, and we have not heard that the shooter or shooters have been caught or killed. But we do want to be very clear, if you're tuning in right now, that gunfire you're hearing is not happening right now in the Las Vegas Strip.
Initially, this happened right around, I would say, 10:30 or so. That's when we first started getting our information. It was as the concert was wrapping up, the Route 91 Harvest Festival concert, a country-themed concert that was taking place outdoors. If you're familiar with that area at all, there's a sort of an open field with an outdoor stage area that is set up directly across from Mandalay Bay and the Luxor area. Some of the folks that we've been speaking to say they ran to a church. There is a chapel near there as well. A lot of them, we heard one of our employees here say that they ran back there to take cover as these shots were being fired, and this was at the direction of officers who were at the scene.
And what's so heartbreaking is what Shella also said is that, she was getting down low. People were literally getting hurt all around her. It was a bloody scene, and she thought, I'm a sitting duck. If I continue to stay here, I will be next. And so that's when she ran to that church for cover. But as we could hear it, you're at a loud music venue. You may be thinking it's a speaker that backfires. You may be thinking that it's fireworks.
Right.
A lot of people just confused at first about what was actually happening. And then, of course, we talk about this all the time, about what Metro does and what law enforcement is doing, because we know that we are one of the most popular places in the world where tons and tons of people come here for recreation. And so it's a soft target. But you still never think that something like this could actually happen here. And to hear the mass casualties that we're getting reports of, and the fact that people were so desperate that they're putting them into regular cars and rushing them to the hospital, and the fact that we're also getting reports that UMC is saying we're overloaded now and they're possibly sending people to Sunrise, you just don't think it could happen here, even though we know that we are a soft target.
And we're hearing stories of people being loaded on the back of pickup trucks and taken to medical centers. We're hearing that Metro Police put people, as many as they could fit, in the back of their patrol cars and get them to the hospital. At one point, our own reporter, Christy Wilcox, was hiding behind a cement barricade and has been moved several times. Number one, Christy, are you safe? And number two, what's the update? Okay, we've lost Christy.
At this point, we believe anyway. We keep getting moved down the way here. We are just behind the Mandalay Convention Center, right by Las Vegas Boulevard, and I believe if I step out over here, I can tell. I think we're just south of Russell, and I am hearing that there are 2 homicide squads that are rolling. Another 2 are on standby. That is from a police source. We also had someone from Concierge working inside the Mandalay Bay walk by and say, one of her crew members had just seen dead bodies laying on the ground. I mean, very, very distraught people walking by. And I can tell you, when we came down Russell to park over here, we had a man come running up to us, blood down his shirt, saying his friends were dead, his friends are dead, and please come help him. And he went running down Las Vegas Boulevard back towards the scene, asking people, anyone, please just come help me. And then he got so distraught a little later that he actually pushed our photog away out of the scene. And as you can see, multiple police here just setting up, getting ready to move towards Mandalay Bay as they are needed. We have Clark County Fire over here, of course. And I don't know if you remember, but a couple months back, I had reported on a mass casualty from the fire department that had 80 stretchers on it. It had enough equipment on to handle a situation. I'm trying to confirm that if it is out here right now assisting on this scene. I am not sure. Of course, we're getting as much information as we can on the ground, but many people just reporting those fireworks. It sounded like fireworks at first, and then eventually those pops, they realized that it was a serious situation and happening out here. Just want to show you this live situation. We have ambulance over here, of course, still trying to figure out what's going on. Plenty of people who are fire meds out here just below or south of the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. You can just see the lines of police cars, of medics, other people just helping on the scene, trying to figure out how to get this under control and just keep everybody safe out here. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
What we have not heard in the past at least half hour or so is a report of any more shots fired. So that perhaps is some good news.
There's a ripple effect here. We're also hearing right now that flights in and out of McCarran have been temporarily halted. I can also tell you that word coming in via many sources I listened to coming in that all of the Strip properties right now, people have been told to shelter in place. People in their hotel rooms told to stay inside their hotel rooms. So this is having a ripple effect. I'm also understanding the I-15 just adjacent to the Las Vegas Strip is at a shutdown as well. So if you at home are watching this and you have the ability to text message somebody, tell them to do what they are hearing from police. And police are communicating to us, communicating to the casinos, to shelter in place and to get as far away from the Strip as you can if you are in a car. Nathan O'Neill right now, and he is photographer, providing us this live picture. Nathan, what's the update?
Well, Reed, you were just talking about that ripple effect on McCarran Airport. We're right next to it. We're just on the west side of it, actually, and we haven't seen any planes take off. It's been a ground stop, effectively, that we've seen over here, which is a very eerie sight to see, especially if you're familiar with this stretch of road right here, Las Vegas Boulevard. But again, all you see going up and down Las Vegas Boulevard over here, they're all patrol units. They're all emergency units. They're all coming down, and we can see a flight of them coming down right now. And I will tell you, it's kind of a dangerous situation because it's not really well lit out here, and there have been people that have been moving down this road, and they're kind of darting across, trying to get across the street. And we've seen a couple of those squad cars